Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Man-Bun Show. I am your host, Ghaida Qaisi, reporting live for duty, and with us in this first episode is the beautiful Miss Stephanie Haddad. What's up, buddy?
Woo, 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 woo. Hi, how are you?
Pra, pra. What's goody?
Alhamdulillah, all is good. How are the 2020 Corona times?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Do you really want to start with this at the beginning?
I don't know. It's inevitable that it's gonna come up.
I mean, things are okay, I guess. Now things are picking up, don't you think so? I mean, the government here are doing a pretty good job, so
صراحة تحية لهم
kudos to
يعني
them.
واو.
Kudos to them, to be honest. I mean, but with all this restriction that's going on or whatever, a lot of people are facing some sort of difficulties. But in on an overall scale, I think that there's a silver lining with all of this, and it's a
Mm,
blessings upon us from a bigger perspective and a bigger scope. So I think we should be over this, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, sometime soon. Yeah, fingers crossed. Amjad, it's headed in the right direction. Yeah, it has to get bad before it gets good. So
Exactly.
on the way.
So as long as people are riding the wave and just hanging in there, I think people who are gonna fortunately survive this roller coaster, I think they can flourish and get to where they are. I think so. This is the way I see
Yeah,
it, to be honest. You just gotta hang in there and then just try to stick and stay positive for as much as you can. You know?
yeah. Cup half full. And I always say this that you have to take life as it's given. Like, you're gonna live through everything, and sometimes you have choices, and sometimes things just happen the way they are. And it's up to you. Like, are you gonna be a victim of what's happening and a victim of your circumstances, or are you gonna grab life by the fucking balls and you're just gonna go?
Exactly. I mean, this is exactly the scenario of everything that you want to do in life. To be honest,
Mm,
I mean, you have to just step in there and just let life take its course. You do what you can. If you fail, then so be it. If you pass, then good on
صح
you. So
100%.
tell me, how did all of this start? I want everyone to know. I mean, I personally know how everything started for you, but I want everyone to hear how this whole thing started up for you because it's pretty
How it
interesting, and I want
started
everyone
for
to know about
me.
it.
So, for those of you who don't know, basically, I have an Instagram page that turned from just a regular personal page to a comedy page, and now it's about like empowerment speaking and discussing taboo topics in the Middle East and whatnot. But the funny part is how it started. So, flashback to 2018, I was driving in Lebanon, and obviously, everyone knows we don't have like traffic lights and lots of rules that people follow in Lebanon. So, I'm driving with my cousins, and then some guy in front of me put me in a state of frustration where he wanted to take a left or a right. I'm not sure. And then in the end, he ended up going the opposite direction of what I thought. So I got pissed. So I grabbed my selfie camera and I was like, bro, there are indicator lights in the car that you can choose to hide that and whatever. It was like a city tutorial, and I was very expressive in the video, and it was very genuine. That I thought, let me post it on my story. I think some people can relate. And then my cousin said, hilarious, like post it so people could share, comment, repost. I was like, thank you, why not? So I did so. And then I was in Lebanon back then. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I came back to Abu Dhabi, and Nikat Lebanese had re-shared the video. They had 1.2 million followers at the time.
Wow.
So many people were commenting, obviously negative and positive. People don't like it when they see someone expressing themselves. And others are like, yeah, like, oh my God, I'm the same. And that's where I thought it stopped. Like, I was like, oh, okay, funny video. But bro, that night, I was watching my phone go ham. Like, my telephone was just like little notifications. I went from like 2,000 followers to 15,000 followers overnight.
Wow. Wow.
Literally, just like that. And at first, it was just the whole buzz of the comedy and the, oh, you're so funny, the way you said it. But then so many girls started direct messaging me, telling me, no, it's so rare to see an Arab woman express herself. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I agreed. And then I was like, that's true, but why? And I don't want to keep it that way. And I want to be the change I wish to see in the world. So, cheers.
What was the first thing that was going through your mind when you saw that things like whatever you just posted is literally blowing up and people are like liking it? And I mean, what was the first gut instinct feeling that you had?
I don't know. It was overwhelming. I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know what would come after. I thought it was just going to be a few thousand followers, and then people were going to forget about me. But I don't know why I felt a sense of responsibility to the girls who were saying, you need to do something. You need to use all these followers and all the like the eyes that are on you now for something good. And ever since I was a kid, I was extremely opinionated, and I was always outspoken. لدرجة sometimes like people who I was friends with, their parents would tell them, no, Stephanie's too loud. Like,
Mm.
don't be like Stephanie. She's gonna drag you to like do bad things. Until this day, some parents tell me, when you were a kid, Stephanie, we thought you were gonna be like the wild one and because you were
I'm
so
rebellious.
like
Mm.
I was rebellious. Yeah, I was
Mm.
rebellious, and everyone thinks that when you're rebellious, it's negative, and
Right.
you're gonna go into like the dark side. You're gonna start doing drugs. You're gonna become a bad friend. You're not gonna work. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Like, why can't I be notoriously rebellious? Like, I want to do good things. I want to speak loud, but with matter and with value and whatnot. So I was like, you know what? It's always been inside me ever since I was a kid. And my parents told me growing up, like, you are different than like other children. And my friends tell me, you're our most genuine friend because you're always yourself. You tell it to us how it is. When my friends, let's say they got out of a bad relationship,
Right.
sometimes people have like they go back to the relationship or they start talking to that toxic person again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm always the one they do not tell because they know I'm gonna whoop their ass. So I
Yeah.
felt like
A straightforward kind of person. Okay.
full on, and they know I don't sugarcoat things. So I was like, so if I make this work in my daily life, why can't I make it work with all these people who have hit the follow button? Like, let me give them something in return. And
You think
2 years
that?
later,
Do you think that this had like an earlier impact happened in your life prior to you becoming to think in that matter or that perspective?
when I was a kid, not really. It was futra. I was born with the personality, and my
Right.
mom is very much. We have similar personalities. We're very positive. We love to laugh. We love to make others laugh.
Yeah.
But when I was like 17 or 18, which was a while ago, it was
Let's
like
not talk.
nine, eight
Let's not
years
talk
ago.
about age, please. Okay. Good.
Okay, I was about to say it. No,
Oh,
I
that.
still feel like I graduated from university a few years ago, but no, it's not a few years anyway. So when I was like
Oh
17 or
well.
18,
Hmm.
I found myself at a place where my family needed me like to pitch in. So I started making my own pocket money,
Good.
and I had
Okay.
a big responsibility from a young age, yeah, in
Right.
comparison to my other friends, to the people I grew up around.
Right.
So somehow that responsibility given to me taught me how to be more independent, and it taught me to focus on what I'm good at and bring that to light, use that for my benefit. So it started from as simple as just writing essays at university for others. I was making like my pocket money off of that. And then slowly, I graduated, came back to the UAE. I live with my parents in Abu Dhabi. And now I work a full time job. But Instagram is something that I feel will be with me forever.
That's very good. I mean, you've got your shit sorted, I think, and I think this is a valuable lesson for every person who's still lost, because I've had conversation with a lot of my friends at some point of my life, recent points, where they are into the workforce and they've been working for a couple of years, and for some reason, which I don't blame them, they still can't figure out which direction are they going, where do they want to go, what do they want to do. And there's so many aspects that can go into such a thing when culture could be involved, self-discipline, uh, your ambitions and what you want to achieve, and what the do's and don'ts that you have to put in your perspective in life. And a lot of people nowadays are lost. Like, they don't know what they
Yeah.
want. They don't know what suits them best, what suits them the least, etc., etc. And I think this is a pretty big issue in our society nowadays, especially like with the current economic situation and whatnot. I believe that some cultures, let's put it in this way, because I don't want to name countries and be called a racist, so I don't want that. But
Yeah.
some cultures are well prepared, or to some extent, somehow prepared to face such obstacles in the sense that you, for example, you started work when you were in university. So you were trying to be independent and making your own money and your own income to live your life and whatnot at a young age. A lot of people nowadays from this generation and probably the generation that's before have never done this. They've
Yeah,
never
and
depended on themselves.
yeah, and
And
it's funny you mentioned the whole cultural aspect of it because what I was able to do, some countries do not even give you the opportunity because you're a woman.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I found myself in a situation where, if I can help to better not just my family, but with myself, like I can better my own situation. When I want to go out, I don't have to think, no, oh, like let me calculate my expenses. I can do it by myself. And it's sad to think that in some areas of the world, just because you're a woman and you have something different between your legs, that you are not able to do that. So I don't think that anyone should use excuses when they are put in a test in their life where they can either choose to excel and make it a success, or they can just feel sorry for themselves and then just sit in bed. Obviously, there's different circumstances. Man, once I saw this video of a guy interviewing people in Jordan, and
right.
he was asking them, oh, what would you do like if a woman in your family wanted to work? And then one guy literally said, "Batukha." He's like, I will kill her. And then the interviewer was like, what? Excuse me? Like, can you repeat that? Why? And then he was like, because sharafi. And I still do
What?
not
Yeah,
understand that. He was just throwing words around. And obviously, there's many different countries and religions that follow, oh, the woman needs to stay at home. Like, no, the woman is not good for anything else except reproduction and cooking and
right,
cleaning, which is ridiculous.
right.
So the whole cultural aspect, I'm lucky, and someone encouraged me and told me to believe in myself.
That's true because funny is like just elaborating and expanding on a couple of sentences that you just said. I mean there is nowhere in religions, whether Islam, Judaism, Christianity, etc., where it clearly says that a woman's job or purpose in life is to cook and clean a house and get married and or get a kid, raise a kid. Full stop. Full stop. I mean, there is no such thing because I truly believe, and from my logical perspective, neglecting the religious and scientific aspect of it, I truly believe that, I mean, the best things in life that you anyone could do is when you do things at an equilibrium state where everything is at a standard zero level state. You don't want to go too far left, too far right. So I truly believe that the balance of this life mainly settles down between men and women, where life without women there's simply no life, and vice versa. So each needs the other. We Men can do things that women can't. Women can definitely do things that men can't.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this whole feminism or um, uh, male predominant culture or whatever all that crap and shit like that. I mean, I truly believe that this is just a stereotype. It's
for
merely
sure, for
stereotyping
sure.
to portray something to like يزرعوا some sort of conflict and like a dividence between people and whatever in people's minds and thoughts and whatever all of that. So any person, I think, with the right state of mind and a good level of IQ and logic would not fall or should not fall for such traps.
Yeah, and it all goes back to education. Yani, if I were to take my country, just Lebanon, as an example, now because of the whole uprisings and the revolutions that are happening and the hyperinflation and whatnot, it's very evident that the people who are still suffering are the least educated.
Right.
They're still the ones that are following like the corrupt politicians, and they're encouraging them and they're still voting for them and whatnot. And it gives you a level of like, it gives you insight. If I'm educated and I read about different countries, I learned about different things about all around the world, I notice how small I am in this world. And it's like, how is what I think is right, yeah, the only thing that's right in the whole world, and everyone else is wrong? So the more you're educated, the more you're aware of things that are happening all around the world, the more you can connect logic and use your mind and not follow things blindly, such as religion, which is important because, for example, I'm in an interreligious relationship, so I'm
Yeah.
Christian, but my boyfriend is a Muslim.
Right.
And when we first started dating, I was always open about it with my family. I never hid it. And obviously, the older generations, like the grandparents and whatnot, they're curious to see, like, how are you getting along and what are you going to do in the future? Oh my God, you are very different. When you sit them down and you show them how we are more similar than we are different, they get surprised. And then I ask, I'm like, why did you never get those answers before? Why did you just ask? Why did you assume? Why did you blindly follow the stereotypes and the generalization and people trying to divide others? And like you said, religion can bring people together rather than tear people apart. But
100%.
unfortunately, like Masa, the UAE is doing an amazing job. Like this is the year of tolerance. Literally, the whole year is dedicated to bringing different cultures, communities, traditions, and religions together to embrace one another, learn about one another, and Jed, when you hear things always from a negative perspective, like, oh my God, he's gonna force you to put a veil on, and then it's like, bro, Virgin Mary was veiled. Did you just disregard this part of Christianity?
Right.
This is a
Right.
huge part that's so similar to them than it is to us.
Right.
So I feel like the more people are educated, the more they open up their ears and their eyes and go get the answers. Like when you have a question and you're afraid, go get the answer. It might surprise you, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to be proven wrong, and it's going to work for your benefit.
It's so true what you just said, but I mean, when you go and say go get educated, just we have to just bear in mind something that some people do actually go to get educated, but then they get educated in a wrongful way.
Yeah.
So you're not requested or required to work hard. You're required to work smart. So if you want to educate yourself, know what you're reading, and not just everything that you read about and intend to go into is something worth debating or talking about, or is a solid information and is right. Because I have seen people that go like, yeah, I've read this, and let's sit and talk about this interrelation relationship between a man who's Christian and a woman who's Muslim, and or vice versa. This can be done because, as per book says this, author this says that. I'm like, okay. I mean, that's a good perspective point, but
Yeah.
I
If
mean,
it's
you should look
trusted.
at different angles, even if it's trusted. I mean, you should view things from different angles. You can't just see something that, okay, I like this, the sound of that. I'm gonna take that. Full stop. That's
Mm.
it. This is my perspective. This is my point of view. I'm gone. I'm done. I'm done with it. Next. People
That sounds
should
like
keep
a
it.
lot of older Arab men that I know in the Middle East.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But this is the thing. Like we should, like people should properly understand the term of leading and not following.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should
100%.
lead, and by lead, that doesn't mean you have to physically lead a group of people. Like you need to lead yourself and your mental capability into doing
Mm-hmm.
good and into properly understanding and diversifying your intellectuality prior to you jumping and sitting in debates with people, especially when it comes to topics, when it comes to sensitive topics, sorry, like what we're just talking about, the interracial relationships and so
Ah,
on and on, yeah, I mean, it's people, Sufi, and we just have to accept the fact that some people will not understand this thing.
yeah.
Okay, and from our side we just have to basically respect their opinion. Maybe
Yeah.
it's not the thing that I would like to follow or listen to or even entertain, but
Yeah.
I'll just have to be professional about it. Just let
Yeah,
things
you
take
have
their
to
way.
learn to let people be, and you cannot impose your ideas and beliefs on other people as long as they're not hurting anyone. I always say this: as long as they're not hurting anyone and they're not imposing anything on you, then fuck off. Like there's nothing. You have absolutely no right to tell people that, oh, your way is wrong, my way is right. Come to my side. Abadan. There no way. Like we've come to a time and age where you cannot control 7 billion people into thinking one way, whether it's anything. يعني I'm a firm believer in one religion per se.
Right,
I like to dress this way, I like to eat this way, I treat my friends this way, and I'm not just everyone else fuck off.
right,
But there's no way I think the way I believe is the same as someone in Antarctica, someone in Zimbabwe, someone in the North Pole, someone in Canada, someone in Brazil. We
right.
have to come together in our differences, unite in our differences, and just stop imposing things on other people.
I mean, it's it's so easy to be said, yet the current situation makes it nearly impossible to impose such a thing.
Yeah,
Sadly,
exactly.
sadly, it is. It
It's
is.
funny how
Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
everyone, no, I was just going to say, no, everyone in the world is now undergoing the exact same thing, like with the whole COVID-19 and the restrictions and the staying home and whatnot. And everyone in the world is going through this. So everyone is more subject to like episodes of mental health, for example. Like the anxieties are up on the high. There's people who are going through panic attacks and whatnot. And I think that's something people do not discuss very often in the Middle East.
100%, 1,000%. I mean, I've had numerous discussions with colleagues and friends of mine about this topic. Actually, funny to say that one of my friends is have started an entire company in Abu Dhabi and in Jordan, talking which is self-centered around mental health and mental well-being, and the essential presence of this field of science or medicine, whatever you want to call it, in our life is of great importance, because the current pandemic that we went through or we're still going through has proved to the entire globe that if people don't really take care of their mental well-being and mental health, I mean, no matter how much money you have or how good of a family you've got, it can just crumble in days if you
Yeah,
cannot control that. And I've read a couple of reports which said something like that, like people with millions of dollars and whatnot, they just crumbled mentally and they just lost it.
yeah,
Well,
man. Well, and people in the UAE, not in the UAE, sorry, in the Middle East and in the Arab world, they
mm,
feel like they're weak if they admit that they are going through depression or they're. People have sudden job losses, they have sudden diseases, they have to deal with their parents' diseases, and they have to. Like I've witnessed this firsthand, yeah, in the Arab world, they just disregard it completely, as if, oh no, he's just tired, he'll be okay in a few days. Okay, but why is he tired? What is the explanation? Is there a cure? Maybe he can like have someone to talk to, schedule everything,
a
especially with
psychotherapy
empathy.
session,
مثلا,
yeah,
a few days ago, I saw a picture The Rock posted. It was something about his daughter, and he showed so much emotions about his daughter.
yeah,
And I find that incredible. Like this big macho man physically, and he was a wrestler and whatnot. He also has a soft side. But in the Arab world, like no way, oh my God, no way, a man cannot shed a tear. He cannot express his sadness. He's always strong. He is unbeatable. He's a mountain, ما بينهز.
yeah.
And I think that people need to start realizing that this is ridiculous and they cannot keep it on forever. We are not immune, especially men. They need to be more in touch with their emotional side. And plus, there's nothing wrong with that. The people that make fun of that are just like the homosexual, the homophobians.
Right.
Like the people that go after people who are gay and always like, oh, you're gay, you're gay. And then half the time, so that because they are homosexual and they're afraid of expressing themselves.
Right,
It's
right.
the same with the whole emotional thing. They make fun of people who are expressing themselves. They're the ones who have like unresolved
It's
issues.
insecurities. Insecurities in the sense that a person who's not really strong enough to admit that he is, I don't know, homosexual or has a mental health issue or whatever and all that. Because, I mean, we all know that, let's say, and when an alcoholic or a drug addict gets admitted to an AA or a rehabilitation center, I mean, the first step of recovery, they ask him to, you gotta admit and you gotta know and
Yeah,
believe that you're an addict. You truly believe that there's something uh, not wrong, but I would put it in a very gentle way. There's something off about it,
yeah,
about your behavior, and it's you being kaza. Good, I admit it positively, willingly. So what's step two, and so on and on.
yeah.
So
100.
yeah. I mean, but don't you think that things are picking up pretty nicely when it comes to mental health here? I mean, people are starting to get
Yeah,
more and more aware of it or whatever. And I don't think we caught it off too late, to be honest. I
I
think we
agree.
caught it just
And
on track.
because of the power of social media, people can just type post and then it can go viral overnight and it can make someone somewhere feel better. And now our generation is so good with technology and we're so good at just talking about our feelings and posting them online. People relate, you feel better, and it's just like a circle. It keeps repeating itself. And now people are like, يعني, they're proud to discuss their mental health. They're proud to find people like them that are going through it. Kamena. So yeah, definitely I agree. Speaking up
It
well.
is, and it's pretty interesting that people are catching up pretty strongly to it and clinching to the idea and figuring out like, oh, I had a bad day, I had a bad week, I had a bad month. Why am I going through such phases and whatnot? I should step out of this and start doing things that I like to do. I don't want my mental health to drop and whatever. Back in the days, I mean, even myself, speaking about myself, 5, 6 years ago and whatnot, even 5 years ago, I had no clue what the fuck is a mental health issue. Like I
I
used to
agree.
hear it and see it on movies and whatnot. I'm like, yo, this guy is a lunatic. He's woo loco. But we never knew the other side. Like I mean, we always judge things as we see it. Like let's say I truly and I had. It's funny how if to expand on this, I had a debate with one of my friends a while back where we were talking about the current situations of rape and people like continuously talking about rape and whatnot and stuff like that. And I shared my sensitive opinion, which a lot of the people that were sitting were just jumped off their seat and like, how can you say that and whatnot? The thing that I
What was
said,
it?
I'm like, guys, okay, let's say that this guy got caught for raping a kid or I don't know, a woman, etc., and all of that. I mean, and yes, he's convicted. He should be convicted. He should face a penalty, etc., and all that. But don't you guys think that we should have a look into this guy's history and see why did he do that? I mean,
Yeah.
realistically speaking, if someone is to do something of such abnormality in his mind, it was either he or she were either brainwashed to understand and know that the action that they're about to take or they did, okay, is something normal, not something out of the norm. So
Or has no consequences,
has no
مثلا.
consequences, or it's a pleasure for them, hence no consequences, and it was
Yeah.
brainwashed to become pleasure. So instead of me jumping straight onto it and condemning this person, why don't I just go and ask myself, okay, so why did he do that? Just no, and that's not giving him the benefit of the doubt, just so people can understand me. I'm not defending a person like that, but we should really view things from all angles. I mean, I do feel for people's families who their kids and whatnot got raped and whatever. It's gonna be super hard for them to speak about it in that way, or
Yeah.
be open to talk about it in that perspective or understand it in that perspective. But I truly think that we should look at things from all angles.
And plus, if you learn what it is, maybe you can prevent it happening again in the future.
Hence, where mental health comes. This is what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
those
exactly.
people
And
should be studied. I mean, those they should not be left to rot in jail or in a like a mental institute, etc.,
mm,
and just for them to rot in there and whatever, and they just give them pills until they die and whatnot. I truly believe that those people should really be studied to see like what caused this genetic disorder. Why?
I've read so many things online, and no, I didn't go too deep into them, but they've like interviewed rapists and pedophiles and sociopaths and psychopaths to understand what they are,
Right.
and so many times it was like abuse during the family. It was the lack of education on like sex ed, like when a man grows and when a woman grows and she goes from like point A to point B, she starts or he starts looking into their sexuality and whatnot. If you don't know a lot of things and you aren't educated on the matter, then what you're doing you might feel is okay when it's not.
Right.
And a few days ago, someone asked me to talk about sexual education in schools, which is something we do not have here in the Arab world
Right.
whatsoever. And there's like statistically speaking, how much rape and sexual harassment happens here is it's in it. يعني أكيد it's linked because no one talks about sex. No one talks about when people should start having sex. Obviously, in the Arab world, everyone only follows religion. Like 95, 98%,
Right.
so it's always up to marriage. Okay, understood. But even some brides, they are unaware until the day of their marriage and what's supposed to happen.
Right.
And there's hygienic things to do. And people who become rapists, they don't understand that you cannot touch something that is not yours.
Right.
And you cannot touch it without anyone's consent, whether it's a woman or a man or a child.
Right.
And you have to teach this to someone when they're a kid. You have to explain to them what is sex. If you want to go the religious way, go the religious way, but you need to talk about it. They're always afraid to discuss it as if, oh, if I talk to them, it means it's okay. No. If you deliver a
Yeah,
message
yeah,
properly,
yeah,
clearly, that doesn't mean يعني خلاص فلتوا and they're going to go and do anything they want. Not at all. Relax, it prevents them from, first of all, rebelling, and it prevents them from going into peer pressure. If someone ever talked about it and they felt uncool, like during these times,
yeah,
the
yeah,
kids
and they
feel,
wanted to prove themselves right in a way, and backlashes at them. Yeah,
yeah. So I think that's a big factor. Obviously, I haven't read about it. There's a lot of articles and research papers on this matter, but it's a lot related to the lack of education and for, I don't know about other places, of course. I'm just talking as an Arab woman living in the Arab world.
yeah,
A lot of men feel like they're entitled to touch a woman or do anything they want because she's dressed in a different way than what they think is okay.
yeah,
And they grew up in a family where they have to be more conservative. They shouldn't show like I don't know, they're above their knee is a no, or
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
spaghetti straps are a no. So
yeah.
خلص. If she wears the other way, it means she's asking for it, which is ridiculous. And some women do not defend other women. When they see
Mm.
their men or their children or their brothers talking about other women, they agree with them. They go like, yeah,
It's
it's
fun.
fine, it's
It's
no good.
funny. It's funny you mentioned that because a couple of days I was reading about an article and it said that a big, and I don't want to give the percentage, but a big percentage of women living in the Middle East, when an incident of assault or rape from her husband or from a different person, etc., happens to them, a big percentage of those women, they don't talk about it. They just let thing take its course and they just be quiet about it. And this is a super dangerous thing to do. Like
Yeah,
when you've been exposed to such a, yeah, such a disgusting, I don't even know what to say. It was such a disgusting, yeah, thing to do, to be done to yourself, and then be just super quiet about it and not say anything. Yeah, I mean, this is the true
yeah,
cause of insanity and people probably committing suicide or killing
for
her
sure.
kid. She kills her kid because she's afraid that her kid might get raped by her father, etc. And all that. I was reading a lot of like super weird and very, 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 very disgusting stories, which I cannot verify if it's completely correct or not. But the idea of it, just thinking about that, we have such things or might have such things in our Arab world, is
Yeah.
just not just disgusting. It's just
Yeah, because unfortunately, there's so many families that still teach their women, basically, you have no purpose. All you do is follow the man's word. Whatever he wants, you have to do it, and you have no right to object.
yeah,
And some follow it and they believe it, and we cannot control everyone. Some people still live in like suburban areas and they're not connected to the internet and God knows what, so we can't reach everyone. But people who we can reach, who can watch a video on YouTube, watch a video on Instagram, read an article about abuse, and if they feel it and they feel empowered and they feel like, okay, khalas, there's like this organization that will take care of me if anything happens, amazing. This happened, well, not happened with someone, but when my video first went viral and the girl started like direct messaging me and talking to me, one girl told me that she was standing outside a mall in Lebanon and a man was like eyeing her.
right.
So she got into a cab, and on her way home, while they were driving, the cab driver was like, "By the way, there's someone behind us. Like, is it your friend? Because he's been following us." So she realized he's been following her for a while. She got to her house in Lebanon, and obviously, like, she buzzed. When she buzzed, her
Yeah,
parents opened the door. She got into the gate. She thought he wouldn't make it because it closed pretty fast,
yeah,
but he did. He made it through the gate, and then when she got to the elevator door, he like closed the door while she was standing. He closed the door, and she told me that in that moment she was so traumatized, but instead of thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? She had remembered a video she just watched that I had posted, and she was like, I felt so empowered. And I was like, what does Stephanie do in this moment? So she screamed. She's like, Stephanie would scream. So I screamed, and Mr. Shiran and everyone helped her basically. And it stopped something very dangerous that could have
wow,
happened. So just sharing a video, encouraging anyone from across the world, or with just one sentence, fight for your right or
one hundred
whatnot, can
percent,
change someone's entire masir.
100%, and then we don't blame the power of your subconscious and what it stores. I mean, you can hear something and then you think that you forgot about it, and then months later you just remember, like, oh
Yeah.
my God, Stephanie did that. Let me just scream, "Ah!" And then you get
Yeah,
this
yeah,
vibe.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's so amazing.
it is. It is. I mean,
It's
it's
so
as funny as it sounds. Look, as funny as this sounds, it's so inspiring. You know, you just go like, I just to- I just mentioned in my video that if something like this happens to you, just scream your lungs out and you'll be okay. If someone hears it for the first time, like, what the fuck is she? Is she like serious? Is
Yeah,
she
yeah,
stupid?
yeah.
I mean, what? And then you go and you just tell me like, okay, and someone texted me in real life that this happened, and she screamed, and now she's okay.
Yeah.
And you're like,
It's amazing because some people think, it's just the actual moment. And خلاص, like it happened, now she's over it. But no, people go through years of PTSD. They need years of therapy. It affects their relationships with their kids, if they even have kids, like if they were to get raped. So it's a whole endless cycle with
you just
someone.
saved this chick tons and tons of dollars in therapy sessions
Yeah.
with a single
Yeah.
video of like scream.
Yeah, it's so cool. And she told me this, but I don't know how many people have been inspired by a piece of advice, that I shared and I could change their life. So I always say that if you want a change in the world, be the change you want to see in the world.
100%.
Even if it's a small platform, like there's
And even if you don't get hurt,
Instagram.
even if you don't get hurt now, and you will definitely get hurt in 10 years, in a year, in 2 days, in whatever, yani, but your voice will definitely reach to at least one person. I mean, there's, for God's sake,
Yeah.
7 billion people in this world. I'm sure someone is going to hear you out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing to know. And considering my platform is smaller than others, like there's people with millions of followers,
Right.
that's awesome. And they do different things, and I do different things. But if each of us just share one thing or come together, for example, during the Black Lives Matter movement, how everyone came together, and you reach your voice, a bigger platform. So I think people should take advantage and make the best of any voice they're given, even if someone tells you I don't know, be the supervisor at the school and make sure the kids like do their homework.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
how many teachers go on to become legends? And there's so many movies about different teachers. Like I'm trying to think of one, but I forgot the name.
Yeah.
About a teacher that changed like the whole. She was substituting for a school. I think it was Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm not sure. She was
Yeah.
substituting for a school and she was teaching the students, and they were all like so like attitude. They're like, no, I don't want to work. Aslan, why should I get a degree? I'm gonna get killed anyway in the future. Something like that. So she changed them, and everyone became like straight A students, and they all went up to college and whatnot. So
Right.
really, everyone has a say in the world. Everyone, even if you're nice to the man or woman giving you a cup of coffee at the coffee shop, if you're nice to them, you can change their entire day. So
100%. 100%. Yo, guys, that's a powerful message right there. That's a very powerful message. See, with few words, I mean, an entire shift of understanding and perception would change. It's so powerful because that brain of ours is, I think, the most powerful weapon on earth. I mean,
yeah.
you can run the world with it with good, and you can just ruin the world with it with badness and whatever.
Yeah, and some people they develop strength at like certain moments when they're in like a fight or fight mode, and there's something that they need to do in the moment, and they think they don't have strength. Because when you are so passionate in the moment and you feel like, oh, I have to do this, you can develop like the strength of the Hulk. You can
So,
pick up things you thought you never could just because of the power of your mind.
yeah, exactly, 100%. Like, straying away from this a bit, what are your current projects? What are you working on? What are you doing now?
My current project. So a few weeks ago, I asked people what they would like to see
Right.
me record. So I wrote down all their like requests, and now I pre-filmed a few videos. And I do this every 2 or 3 weeks. So it's always
Okay.
about different things, whether it's about feminism, Middle Eastern issues. Mental health was one I posted a few days ago. That's one. I have a live with someone in the relationship counseling industry. So we're going to talk about long distance relationships because I was through that too.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. To be honest with you, so
How is
far, just
how is the long distance relationship topics going? Because I did
it,
a long
it was
distance relationship.
it was a long distance, but now my boyfriend moved back from Lebanon to the UAE, so he's
Right.
here now. But it sort of is long distance because he's stuck in Dubai.
Okay. Fair enough. Oh, that's
So yeah,
ish. It's not
so
really
it's
that
annoying,
bad.
and he can't come unless he has to get tested, so he can't come that often.
Yeah. 100%. I think it's good though. I mean, I did the
The
long
whole
distance. I did the long distance prior to me getting married, but I did the
yeah,
whole thing, and I had actually two long distance relationships before. The one which
mhm,
this one that I got married to with, and I had a previous one before it, and I don't think it's pretty hard as people portray it to be, because if you've established loyalty and you've established what you both want in this or from this,
Mhm.
then I think the only missing factor would be the physical aspect of it,
Yeah,
which I think could be managed over a period of time. I mean, you
yeah.
cannot, yeah.
If it's limited and you can see the end of the tunnel, 100%.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean, uncertainty is a bitch, to be honest. But I truly think that if this is established, I don't. It's not something that's, as people portray it, as it's hard, it's difficult. Why do you want to go through this? It's very hard to maintain. It's this, it's that. To me
and
personally, it's bullshit. It can be done.
yeah, and if you're at a point in your relationship where you're both loyal and you've proven loyalty and trust and you are on the same page and you know مثلا what you like to do on the weekend, what you like to do during the week, when you leave your significant other to another country and you're both afar, the only way I think that the relationship could break is if one person loses feelings for the other, obviously, because it's going to reflect in
100%.
their actions, the way they speak,
That's a
whatnot.
major disconnection. Yeah.
Yeah, and if so, that's one condition they would break up, and the other one would be if someone became unable to cope with jealousy, for example. Like if their significant other is in another country enjoying their life, going out and whatnot, and the other person feels left out or jealous, or I want to join, I want to join, I want to join, and they won't let the other person just enjoy their individuality at the time
Yeah.
that is just for them, then that's obviously a huge factor that it's not going to work.
Fair enough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty much understandable. I mean, I hope people would listen to such things, to be honest, because a lot of people are scared to get into long distance relationship, or take to get into a relationship when they ever hear like, oh, there's a long distance clause in the
Yeah,
contract
I
of this
feel like
relationship. You know,
I wouldn't recommend, obviously, yeah, to start a relationship for a few
ideally,
months.
yeah, ideally,
Yeah,
but
but if you were to part later on during your relationship, a few months later, a few years later, then it's inevitable. Policy. I mean, it's just the way it is, and inshallah, you'll make it through. But to start a relationship from afar, like you must have insane mental connection or chemistry in order to get into a relationship long distance. Like that's like wow, it's a love story to for the book.
this is actually what happened to me. I mean, I met my wife for literally um, for 2 weeks, and then I left, and then we continued talking and whatever, and most of it was like long distance, and we just kept talking. But
How many years?
what, we've been married, or how many years was it a long distance?
The long
The
distance
long
before the
distance
marriage.
was about 2 years.
Oh wow! And you
Yeah,
had just met.
yeah.
Wow, yeah, see, that's a whole like mental connection.
It is, but that's why I wanted to reinforce the statement that you just did, where we've connected, like we found the chemistry in between us, and we both lived in that denial phase where like, nah, this is not possible. I don't think this is gonna
Mm,
work. This and that. I mean, could it possibly? Well, let me just give it a shot. Nah, fuck
yeah,
that. Whatever. You know, it was just a struggle between your angels and demons, and your gut
yeah,
feeling and your logical feeling and whatever and all that. But then, the minute you just things just pan out in a way where like, I mean, what the fuck? Who am I fooling? Come on. I
yeah.
mean, it's too
Exactly.
obvious. It's
You
too
can,
clear. Fuck my ego. Let me just put my ego on the side and just go with it. You know, just let me just
oh,
ask
such
it.
a
You
nice
know,
story.
it is. It is. It was. It was. I mean, people ask me. I mean, we've been married for 4 years now, going into the fifth. So many people still ask me today. We're like, how the fuck did you get married? I mean, honest to God, and I honestly don't have like a straightforward answer to it. But I'm like, it just happened. I wasn't looking.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't want to get married. Honest to God, I did not want to get married. But
like in your like ever.
no, I mean, but like, well, not ever. But the the idea never crossed my mind. I'm like, I don't want to get married now. Like, I'm not
Mm,
thinking about it. I'm a career man. I'm this. I'm that. Whatever and all that. So my ego is just floating me around, you know. But
yeah,
the minute this thing happened, I kept pushing it and denying it and this and that. But at one point, I'm like, what the fuck am I denying? Why am I like, I need to break my ego. What am I talking about? I like her. I like this person. I do feel like I'm in love with her and whatever. So why not? Let me just give it a shot and see how things go. And boom, it
yeah, of
happened.
course, and that's awesome. And the fact that you met, left, came back, still the perfect, like,
100%.
that's so cool.
The frequency just remained as it is. It just floated. It just remained as simple and as flowy as it is. And thank God, yeah, it just happened.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. I don't have to drink around, but cheers.
Yeah,
So, do you want to talk about what happened with you recently, the anxiety? Since you've posted a video about it, it was
I posted a video a
pretty
few days
intense one.
ago. Basically, being the extroverted person that I am,
Yeah.
my favorite thing in the world to do, favorite thing is to go out with a big group of people to a very crowded area and dance. My favorite thing to do is dancing.
Okay.
And besides that, it's also meeting new people, getting to know different people, different cultures, different stories, learning about people who have lived and traveled and whatnot. So ever since COVID-19 started, the first thing it did in me, like did for me, it was cancel one of my plans. I had a trip planned to Turkey with my friend in March that I had to cancel because of the situation. And then whatever, I just started going month by month, you know. I said, yeah, it'll get over soon, it'll get over soon. And I never thought it would affect me mentally because I take pride in this. Ever since I was a kid, all the hardships I went through, I managed to get through them and I got over them and I was okay. And I never realized it was because my remedy was going out, meeting new people, and dancing. I never connected the two till now because now I realize, like, Stephanie, why couldn't you handle the whole COVID-19 problem? And it's like, shit, because my remedy and my way to get over stress and feel better was to go out, meet new people, and dance. Like that's it. Every time I go to Lebanon, I couldn't wait. I had like a whole list of clubs and different dance parties to go to because that's what made me me. That's why I love life. That's why I want to keep living and making more memories and going out meeting with people. So a few weeks ago, I was at Spain, man. I was literally buying shit on the I was at the grocery store buying something, and then I got to the cashier, and my heart started beating fast. I started sweating. My hands started shaking, and I'm like I was observing myself. I was watching myself. I didn't freak out because I've read so much about anxiety and panic attacks, and I like to research things. When I hear something and I don't know what it is, I don't want to not know anymore. I want to know. So I go Google, find out. So I understood it was symptoms of anxiety. So I paid the bill, still trying to understand what was happening. I went and I sat in my car, turned on the AC, took off my gloves, from the supermarket, and I just breathing exercises, and then I was like, okay. I proceeded with my day. I felt uneasy the entire day. I don't know why. Another week later, I was working. I was just working. There was nothing happening, but I read the news. It was like a few tabs on my computer, and I was reading the news, and it made me so uneasy. So I had another panic attack, and I'm like, what's happening? So I sat back, relaxed. I'm so fortunate that one of my best friends is a clinical psychologist in the making. She's almost done. Yeah. She finished her master's. She's on her way to PhD. Shout out to you. So I'm so fortunate. I have her number. I just picked up the phone and I was like, no, this happened to me. What do you think it is? And she started like walking me through. She's like, where were you? What happened? What was on your mind? What do you think caused this? Trace your steps back. When did it start? And her and I we came to the collective decision that this was a panic attack and it was a form of anxiety because I have been so out of place for the past 4 months.
You've been out of your comfort zone. You've been out of your comfort zone
completely. My routine has been shattered. I haven't seen my closest friends in 12 weeks almost. جامعة بتبسطني. In English just gatherings with different people and a large amount of people makes me happy. And I was stripped away from all of these things were stripped away from me. So I started losing my appetite. I did not have interest in eating food, or the foods that I used to like meant nothing. I was not excited to see anyone. I didn't want to do anything anymore. Although that's what was missing, I no longer wanted it because I was just so sad. I was just sad all the time. And I forgot who I was. And my way of self-expression and my love to make people laugh was also just leaving my body, and
it's been put to sleep basically.
Yeah, they've been put to sleep, and I needed energy. I needed to refuel. I needed to recharge. So I just started admitting to myself, I was accepting you develop anxiety, and that's okay. So many people have anxiety, and it's okay. How do you get over it? You talk to the people that you love. I'm fortunate enough to have 2 in 1, which is my best friend and she's a psychologist together. So, but I would always tell people to go to a professional all the time.
Right.
And if you're not ready to, like, talk to someone face to face, at least admit it to yourself. Google what's happening, research about it, and then if you feel like it got to a point where it's putting a hold on your daily life, because
Right.
alhamdulillah, I didn't get to that point. Like, it didn't stop me from doing well at my job or speaking to my loved ones, yani.
Right.
But if it got to that point, I would have definitely gone to a professional. No shame in my game, yani, for sure. That's what they're there for, you know.
And how did you get over it? Get over this whole anxiety. I mean, when you spoke to your friend, I'm sure you've pointed out what the problem is, or where is it coming
Yeah,
from. But how?
yeah.
What was the next step for you? How did you start to get over this whole thing and going back to
I
how you
just,
used to be?
I told myself, and no, although you can't do the things you used to do, you need to find alternatives and substitutions.
Yeah.
So now my substitution is, although I can't go out with a big group of people dancing, I'll go have a drink with a friend somewhere, which I'm planning to do tonight for the first time in a while.
Good on you.
Besides that, I started listening to. I don't listen to music at all, although I sing, which is a contradiction.
You
I only
don't listen
sing.
to music, but you sing.
Yeah, I listen to music if it's on the radio, heke, or if
Okay.
I'm clubbing, or if I'm in the car with friends. But I never have, like, I don't have a set playlist I listen to when I'm chilling at home or when I'm in the shower, which is very odd because I'm such a musical human being. But I don't know why.
That's interesting. That's
It's
pretty
very
much
weird. And
interesting.
also, if I listen to a sad song, I will cry immediately. Immediately. Even if it has nothing to do with me, even if I do not relate. If it's
Yeah.
sad, I will cry.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I super and a lot of emotions. This is what I have. So yeah, I started listening to happy music. I started making plans with people and thinking in like من هلا like 2-3 months what I'm gonna do in Christmas, what I'm gonna do. Although I'm not sure what will be like Corona back then
Ideally,
during
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but still, like I just want to plan. I like seeing what's gonna happen in a few months. I like having hope and just anticipation for new exciting things. So I'm faking it till I make it, basically. Until these
I
things
mean,
are possible again, I'm just gonna keep pretending they are.
that's a way. That's a way to go. And I truly and honestly salute you for actually figuring what's the problem and trying to resolve it by going back to who you are and what the things that you like. Because I mean, people might not know this, but the reason why I started this podcast is first and foremost as a therapy for myself, because I was going to something. I was going under a very load of pressure and not anxiety rather than depression because of like where we are now, the pandemic that we went through, the lockdown, etc., and all of that, and the pile of work and the uncertainty and unsecure job insecurities that we were going through here. So I was on the verge of depression. I just did not know what to do. Um,
Yeah.
I always had this feeling in me in the way that okay, if something bad happened to me or is gonna happen to me is because I did something bad, so I'm actually being punished for it. This was my mindset.
Whoa.
This was the mindset that I was going by. I'm like, okay, so if
Ah,
today, yeah, exactly. So it's pretty dangerous. It was very dangerous, and it just grew on me. Okay, although I would consider myself a person that reads a lot and whatever, but an idea that illogical just swamped me up, and I started believing in it more and more, and it started dragging me further and further downwards, where I reached to a point where like I have to either do something about it or it's gonna affect my household, my marriage, my life, everything, the friends
yeah.
around me, or whatever, and all that. Because I would consider myself as an introvert, pretty much. I'm nowhere near an extrovert. I am a very
What?
yeah. I'm a listener. I'm a person that sits and I'll listen to you and we can sit and talk and whatever and all of that. But I'm not a person that would go out and just like, let's go, come on, like I want to meet people and this and that. I'm not that type of person.
Oh my
I
god, you
would
had me fooled.
exactly. Well, I was always the person that sits. Let's talk. If you the topics that we discuss interest me, then I'll just open up to you and then we started talking. But let me tell you the shift that happened with this. That's why you just said I had you fooled. I actually did not have you
Yeah,
fooled because I was a complete introvert, but I started working on myself where like I have to interact with people more. I have to appreciate the people around me more, sit and talk with them, love my surroundings, uh, bless like I bless everything that's in my house that I have the capability to get or want or whatever and such and such. I have a good marriage. I have a good house. I have amazing friends around me. Whatever and all of that. So the minute I started counting my blessings, as they say, okay, my entire mentality started shifting. Where why am I punishing myself? I might as well just let things take its course, okay, and just see how things will go. So
yeah,
the first thing that popped in my head, okay, how do I connect to people? I want to connect to people. I want to sit and start talking to people in order for me to start feeling good about myself. Maybe I would benefit the other person sitting in front of me. Maybe I won't. God knows. But at least take a course of action.
yeah.
Hence where the podcast came to existence. Where I'm a big podcast
Exactly.
listener, and I'm like, what is the thing that can help me? This a podcast. Good. Why don't I just do it? Boom. The pandemic came, which helped me think it over, and the idea of the podcast just started growing in my head, bigger and bigger every day. And I'm like, fuck it, I might as well just do it. So
Yeah,
the idea is just for first and foremost for me. Like I truly don't care where is this going, or
yeah.
if people are gonna listen to it, we're gonna benefit from it or not. If they do, that's a blessing. If they don't, oh well, life goes on. But
Yeah,
first and foremost, it's helping me become a better person, open up to people, and try to lean towards it, towards to be an extrovert a bit, way. You
that's
know?
awesome.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Yesterday, a girl direct messaged me saying, "Oh, Stephanie, I want to speak out loud the way you do, but I have very low self esteem." I'm like, "What?"
That's okay. It happens.
I'm like, hold on. I'm like, hold on. Do you have low self esteem, or are you just you're introverted? Like maybe you don't want to be up there. And she's like, oh, but boy. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. مش دغري like don't self blame immediately. Oh, I
100%.
have low self esteem.
100%.
I don't believe in myself. I cannot speak. No, no. Maybe you're just an introvert. Like that's not bad at all. Yani. We can't all be the exact same. And I also saw a video of Oprah yesterday. Oh, by the way, fuck, I hurt my finger. I saw
Yeah.
a video of Oprah yesterday where she was being interviewed before she started her talk show.
Yeah.
And then someone was telling her, what would you do if this fails? And she's like, I am not willing to be defined by one failure. And that was like, whoa, it resonated so well with me. She's like, why would someone base my entire like CV or my entire life's work
Yeah.
because of one failure? Like, why would I focus on the talk show that didn't work? She's like, if it works, imagine the Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Wow. She's like, if it works, amazing. If it doesn't, on to the next thing. So this is something also that I like to tell people. Yeah, if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean you are a failure. It means this was not meant for you.
Exactly. So you embrace it. This is what I'm saying. You embrace it. That's the beauty of it. I mean, the hardest characteristic in any human is patience. But if you exert so much effort and started practicing on how to channel this characteristic of it or that we possess and harness it in the way the way it benefits you, start benefiting you. I mean, and you would be like unstoppable. No one can stop
Yeah,
you. Absolutely
for
no one can
sure.
stop you with it. Fuck, amazing talk. You know that we've been
Yeah,
talking for an hour,
so
man.
awesome. I would
Yeah,
listen to this podcast.
I know, man. It's so nice. So nice. I think if we're not capped with the minutes and hours that we have, I think we can just go on and on and on.
Yeah, yeah, I
Guys, you're
agree.
gonna see
I
her
agree.
again. I'm just telling you from now whether she said yes or no. She's gonna come again.
Yay! So I really hope that this gets somewhere where you want it to get
I just hope the message reaches to the right people and
here.
they can benefit from whatever we've talked about. This is really
Yeah,
what we intend to do.
yeah,
Right.
I'm sure.
Inshallah. Well, I think we should wrap this up now. It
طيب يلا
was
مستر غاي.
good talking to you as always, Stephanie. What would you like to tell people? Where would they reach you on your social media?
Yeah, basically, you can follow me. I'm most active on Instagram at Stephanie HDDD. So, and
Guys,
I'm not going to spell it for y'all because he's probably going to type it and he's going to tag me.
exactly.
But yeah, that's where you can find me.
You should do that. You should do that. Well, it was good talking to you, miss.
Good talking to you too. Have a great day.
And then we'll catch you later.
Yalla. Bye.
Bye. See you guys.